All right, good morning, everyone. I will get started. I will call State of Wisconsin versus Darrell Brooks, case number 21 CF 1848. May I have the appearances, please?
Good morning, Judge Sue Upper, Leslie Basie, and Zach Witchow appearing for the State of Wisconsin.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Please state your name for the record.
I'm here as a third-party intervener in that matter, appearing as authorized representative for my client. I accept for value and return for value all of the charging instruments in this matter and make my exemption available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any other facts in the charging instruments.
Record should reflect that the individual known to this court as Darrell Brooks is present in person in custody in street clothing, wearing a suit and tie and a mask.
For the record,
today.
I do not consent to being called that name, Your Honor.
All right,
And we still have yet to address subject matter jurisdiction.
The court has addressed it for the record. So
For the record, has it been proven?
Mr. Brooks, I stand by the written decision that I issued in this case last week. A second
What written
copy was
decision are you
provided. Please
referring
don't
to?
interrupt me. A second copy was provided to you. I know you saw it because you tore it up yesterday. So I'm not going to address it any further.
Are you
You are
talking about
mistaken and wrong about the law that it needs to be verified or proven.
Are you talking about the paper I accepted in return for value?
So with
Accepted
that,
for value in
I
return for
believe,
value?
Mr. Brooks, I'm going to continue with this trial, whether you believe jurisdiction has been proven or
It has not been proven for the record.
And it has. So
It has
with
not.
that, Detective Carpenter was on the stand,
And it needs to be proven
and I
per the prosecution.
would like to have him brought back up unless there's any other issues the parties wish the court to address from the state.
I did want to address something briefly.
Go ahead.
As the court knows from our short discussions yesterday, the state will be playing a couple videos of the defendants and his statements. The court had previously heard those as part of a motion hearing, and I'm not sure if I'm really getting the defendant notice or what I'm doing, but I really tried hard, and I'm pulling out snippets from this because if the court recalls, there are a lot of references that the defendant makes to prior domestics with Erica, his prior record, things that the court had previously excluded. So I'm going through and I am pulling specific time ranges from this so that nothing that was previously ruled inadmissible comes in. And I guess obviously this defendant has the absolute right to cross-examine the witness. He has the right, and we've offered and we have been putting exhibits up for him. But I do want it to be noted that I would not be willing to have Mr. Brooks just say, oh, go to about the 7-minute mark, because if he even goes like 2 seconds before a clip that I had played or 2 seconds after, it could include information that was previously ruled inadmissible. And I guess what I would say to the defendant is the court has previously protected the defendant to make sure that things didn't come out. Where he asked a question that could be construed as opening the door, and the court said, we're not going to go there, Mr. Brooks, and he got the message. However, with this, if there's any portion of this video that's played that talks about the prior with Erica, I do consider that he has opened the door, and I will be asking the witness about it. So I guess this is maybe more so directed at Mr. Brooks, that if he plays clips that contain that information, he will have opened the door. He's had this video for weeks at least. These videos have been subject to a motion hearing. I'm not sure exactly what access he had to them before. I've reviewed the 5-hour video a number of times. I've been very meticulous in my timestamps that I'm grabbing out from here, and I am unwilling to have the defendant put Miss Gussie in a spot where he's kind of, well, around this point. He needs to give exact times that he wants started and stopped, because what happens is if he says, okay, can you pause here, by the time he says that, 5 seconds may have gone by, which may be enough to, some of these, if I would play 2 more seconds than what I have here, it would open the door. So I just want the defendant to realize that this is kind of a slippery slope here, and he proceeds at his own risk. And I'm not going to ask Miss Gussie to stop it at a certain time because I think something's about to be said. That's on the defendant. And if he opens the door, I can assure you, I will go into it. So I did want to put that on the record, Judge, not to be a jerk about it, but just once it's out there, I can't not address it. And if it's the defendant who brings it out there into the view of the jury, then I'm going to feel compelled to address it. And then I didn't know if the court wanted to go through the preliminary instruction that you had provided previously on the interpreter. My understanding is that Mr. Marquez speaks very little English. If you want to add the added paragraph, that would be fine for the state. I've had 2 discussions with him, and I would not say he is, that English is a comfortable language for him.
All right, thank you. As to the first part, to what the state brings up regarding the redacted recording, I would remind Mr. Brooks the court did enter some rulings previously. Why do you have to roll your eyes at me? Let's start the morning off on a good
I
note,
didn't roll
sir.
my eyes at you, so I don't think it's fair that you should say I roll my
I
eyes
saw
at you.
you roll your eyes at me. I'm not
I
going to
didn't roll
debate
my
about
eyes
it.
at you, so don't do that.
Well, Mr. Brooks, I'd appreciate a little bit more respect. These
I would too,
rulings,
Your Honor.
let me finish, because now you're interrupting me. These rulings were entered by the court to prevent other acts evidence from coming in. But a defendant can open the door in a variety of ways. These recordings, and I have reviewed them previously, do contain discussion and statements by you regarding these other acts. And as you heard from Attorney Basie, she has all of the timestamps to stop at appropriate times so that the state does not run afoul of those pretrial rulings. You can open the door by asking questions, by asking for a video to be played, and not knowing those exact timestamps. I think it's important that I reinforce what the state has just advised you of, so that when you are watching the recording, as all of us will be, if there is something you want replayed and you want to cross-examine the witness about, that you know those time stamps, and then the state has graciously indicated they would assist once again in replaying portions of that video. I don't need a response from you unless you feel you would like to give a response to any of that.
With all due respect, they're the ones that want to play the video, so I don't understand how I'm the one opening the door. They chose to play the video, so
They're not going to play the entire video, though. They're going to redact out, probably stop, fast forward the portions that this court said would be inadmissible. So for example, if during your cross-examination of Detective Carpenter, you ask the state to replay a portion of the video and you say, go back to around the 7-minute mark, you have to understand that you may open the door, even inadvertently, to some of those other acts, evidence coming in. So what I'm telling you is, if you want any portions replayed, then, or if you ask for the entire video to be played under the rule of completeness, that you have an understanding that you would be opening the door to the evidence of other acts coming in. Potentially, I'll have to rule on it at that time. So be mindful of the timestamps.
I don't understand, and Your Honor, that's almost like you making a ruling and then it not having any standing. If you already made a
the
ruling.
ruling's against them. I told the state they can't offer this evidence.
Right,
They're
that's
the
what
one.
I'm saying.
So if you offer the evidence or ask questions that would open the door, that's a different story. And we all have treaded lightly when you've asked questions that would have opened the door to a variety of witnesses. So the state's just simply saying, look, we're going to do our job. We're not going to put in the other act's evidence. We're going to pause the video, fast forward the appropriate spots. But if you want any portions replayed, or if you ask for the entire video to be played, then you do that at your peril of having those other acts' evidence come in. So that's all I want to tell you. As far as the jury instruction, do you have any position on whether that second, well, I shouldn't say second, it's the very last paragraph where it says, add the following if appropriate. Do you have any position on whether the court reads this entire jury instruction 60 to the jury prior to Mr. Marquez being called as a witness?
Yeah, I think the jury should hear whatever needs that they need to hear.
Do you have a position on that last paragraph specifically, sir, given the information that the state has provided today?
Last paragraph.
It's in brackets and it's after a bolded section that says, add the following if appropriate. I advised the parties yesterday we would be talking about that this morning.
I mean, it was just stated that the witness doesn't speak very good English. And so that would indicate that it would be a lot more work for the interpreter to make sure.
That's not what I'm asking about, sir. I'm asking whether you have a position on whether I include the very last paragraph of that instruction to the jury.
No, I don't feel like that needs to be read to the jury. I think it's pretty clear from all the language leading up to that.
Let me ask Attorney Basie a question about the contact the Office of the District Attorney has had with Mr. Marquez. Were you able to communicate at all in any way in English, even if you would describe it as broken English?
Yes, I think our last conversation, we probably said, I said something in English, he responded, and then when I said something else, I think he needed translation for that. His primary, our victim witness person, specialist assigned to the case, is bilingual, and she speaks to him in Spanish.
All right, given that bit of information provided by the DAs and Office of the Court regarding his ability to answer some but not most, I think it's appropriate to read the very last paragraph. Certainly doesn't hurt. It's not going to take away. So I will read the entirety of jury instruction 60. Obviously the part that says read here if appropriate comes out, and then I will print that off, and that is what I will read at the appropriate time. Did that print, Madam Clerk?
Quick question on that. How do we know exactly what words the witness will be able to understand in English versus?
That's not how the interpretation works. The questions are in English, they're interpreted in Spanish to the witness. The witness will answer, presumably in Spanish, and then the witness's words will be interpreted in English, and it's the English, as this instruction says, that is the evidence.
I think it's a little unfair that prosecution has had conversations with the witness and I haven't, considering that it's my witness.
They were on the state's witness list as well, I believe. So it's fair for either party to reach out, and if witnesses want to talk to either party in preparation, that's frankly fair game.
So how would I be able to reach out to a witness?
Mr. Brooks, you are representing yourself. That obviously poses some challenges and difficulties, but that is the state and stage that we are at. So with that, I know we'll get Detective Carpenter on the stand. He can come up and be out here when the jury comes out. So come on up, sir. I will swear you in again, as is my practice when there's a witness on the stand for a second day.
I have one more thing real quick.
Well, it needs to be other than subject matter jurisdiction, so what is it?
You didn't even let me get to it.
I said, what is it? I said it needs to be something other than subject matter jurisdiction.
Can I
What
get
is
to it?
You can say.
There's no way to know what I'm going to say if I can't say it.
Mr. Brooks, please tell me what it is you'd like to address.
I want to address why my ICFs have not been addressed, because I know you have them. Why have I not getting copies? I've gotten copies of every other ICF. Why not the recent ones?
Sir, I am not going to be the intermediary anymore for ICFs that are directed to the clerk of court regarding copies.
That's not explaining why I haven't
I'm not the
even been
keeper of
told
the
if
record, so
they've
if there's
been
something
received.
you want me to address, then you should address your ICF to me and not the clerk of court.
Well, where is the ICF? If
Sir,
I sent it, I
I
should be
am
able to get
not-
a copy. I've gotten copies of every single one.
You need
whether
to
they were
ask
addressed,
for that from the clerk of court.
whether they were addressed to you or whether they were addressed to the clerk of courts. I've always
I'm not going to
been
address that
told.
further, Mr. Brooks. I'm not going to be the intermediary when
So
you
what's
have
the-
questions to the clerk of court.
So
for
what's the
copies
point of me
things
sending the
like that.
ICF, me doing what you asked me to do, and sending them, and then not being able to know if they've even been received and get a copy of them, which I've been getting
If
copies
you
of
did
them
not
ever
ask
since.
for a copy of the ICF, they don't have any obligation to
I
send it.
addressed it when I first sent it. I asked you on the record, did you receive it?
Mr. Brooks,
You
I
said-
didn't receive anything because nothing has been sent to me.
Well,
So
where's the
if there's
ICF?
something that you need, then you should reach back out to the clerk of court.
I shouldn't have to do
But we're
that
not
if I
going to
sent
take
it.
up court time regarding an ICF sent to the clerk of court. Again, I will advise you once again, I did this the other day, if there's something case related, it needs to be addressed to me. If it has to do with the record, it needs to go to the clerk of court.
And it was.
Because I
It was
am
sent to the
not
clerk of court.
the
But
custodian.
I still should be able to be told if it was received and get a copy, which you've done that before, every single ICF.
And I told you I
So why
would
does
no
it change?
longer be doing that, sir, because of this very issue. It
So you
takes
saying
up
so
court
now it
time.
changes? So now it changes all of a sudden?
No, it didn't change all of a sudden, sir, and you know that, so don't try to confuse the
Does it
record.
change all of a suddenly? Because
No,
I've been getting copies of everything I've sent, which is what you asked me to
This
do.
changed last week, and you
It
know
should
that.
it shouldn't change.
So
No, I
with
don't know
that,
it.
I'm bringing the jury out, and I'm not addressing this issue,
So
sir.
I want
We're
the
gonna
copy of
continue
my
forward.
ICS that I send.
Send the request to the
I don't
clerk's
have to
office.
send her another request. Where's the one that I just sent last week?
All right, the jury is going to come out, so please be respectful.
I will, but at the same time, you still have to. I did what you asked me to do. If you tell me to do something and I do it, and then now you're saying I'm not going to get a copy, which you've been providing them ever since you told me to do it.
Mr. Brooks, the rules on that changed last week.
No,
You
no,
know
it
that.
did not. I'm still supposed to be able to say if it's been received or not. So why should I have to send multiple ICFs to even know if they've been received? That's ridiculous, Your
I'm
Honor.
going to give the parties the final version of jury instruction 60, which I will be reading at the
That's-
appropriate time.
Come on, you can't change stuff at the last minute. You
No,
asked me to
Mr.
do
Brooks, I
something.
did it as a courtesy,
You
and
act-
frankly,
No.
you're not courteous
I'm not.
to me.
I'm not
So
even.
the
I'm
jury's
not even.
coming out.
I'm not even
The
referring
record
to
should
that.
reflect that the jury
I'm referring
is
to the
coming
fact. I'm
out.
referring to the fact that you haven't even had
Mr.
enough
Brooks,
respect to tell
please
me
be
it's been
respectful
received.
to the jury. They're coming out.
Okay, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to tell me if my ICF has been received. ICFs that you told me to submit. You told me that.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will disregard the commentary by Mr.
I
Brooks
accept
at
for
this
value in
point.
return for value this document. Just like you've been hiding everything from the jury that they
The
need to
jury
hear.
will disregard. The court is not hiding anything from the
Yeah,
jury.
yeah, you are.
So,
Yeah, you
Mr.
are.
Brooks, please be respectful of the jury. They're
And
coming out.
You should be respectful
We
of
are,
what you asked
you are
me to
addressing
do.
issues that are not related to evidence
They
in
are.
this case.
You asked me to do
Mr.
something,
Brooks,
I do it,
please.
and
all
then
right.
now it changes.
Everyone can be seated. Thank you.
This is ridiculous. Just like subject matter jurisdiction hasn't been proved. Just like you're making judicial determinations that you don't have to
Hold
prove
on.
anything by law,
Hold on.
which is a tacit agreement by you, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the please disregard the statements currently
Why? 'Cause
being
it's true?
made by Mr. Brooks.
Why? 'Cause
They are
it's true?
Incorrect statements of the law. They
Then
are
prove
not
that they're
evidence
incorrect. Prove.
in this case.
Where's the proof? Where's the legal proof?
And you need to disregard them.
Because you don't have it.
And we are
don't
going
have
to
legal
continue
proof.
with testimony, Mr. Brooks. I warn
I
you,
don't-
do
I don't-
not interrupt.
I
or
don't
we
identify
will
by that
have a
name.
discussion about whether you will continue to be here.
I don't
All right.
consent to being called that name for the record.
Detective Carpenter, please stand, as is my practice when a witness is on the stand for a second day to be sworn in again. Go ahead, Teresa. Please raise your right
Lie
hand.
to the jury.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. And just for the record, please state your name for day 2.
Detective Jay Carpenter, Jaycarpenter.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, you may continue.
Sir, yesterday when we ended for the day, we were at the point where we were talking about you interviewing the defendant, Darrell Brooks, on November 21st, 2021, at approximately 11 o'clock p.m. Do you recall that?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name for the record.
Objection is overruled.
Yes, I do
Grounds
recall
for the
that.
overrule.
Not relevant.
Yeah, it is relevant.
Your Honor, at this point, or I think last night, we asked for State's Exhibit 81 to be admitted into evidence, which is the defendant's statement provided to Detective Carpenter and Detective Stern on November 21st of last year.
And Exhibit 81 has received permission to publish is granted.
Objection.
My notes reflect that it's 25 minutes.
That is correct. Let me get the exact time of it.
Objection. I didn't provide any statement on the 21st.
Jury will disregard the statement by Mr. Brooks. He is not testifying, therefore his statements are not evidence.
And my objection should be noted for the record.
Your Honor, the entire video is 25 minutes and 27 seconds. The state will be playing from 4 minutes and 25 seconds to 14 minutes and 25 seconds.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So before it begins, I just want to clarify, we had talked about it last night a little bit. What we are hearing today is the audio interview only, correct?
Objection leading.
Overruled is foundational. She may ask it that way. Go ahead, you may answer, sir.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'll go grab you your water.
I'll tell you. Say,
Darrell?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Darrell. I'm Jeremy Wojciechowski, with the FBI. FBI, yeah.
FBI?
I'm Mary, yep.
they're just kind of helping out because we're so short-staffed tonight. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
that's all it is.
How's your shoulder, right? Is that where
Yeah, well, he said in 4 to 6 weeks I might have to get it because it's still something's wrong. I know.
you bang it up before or something?
Nah, it was just the way they slammed me.
Okay.
Hit the ground, kind of like went up. Boom, boom. That's where the knee came from. But,
well, okay.
yeah, but the shoulder, I know something's wrong.
Yeah.
He said 4 to 6 weeks, the MRI won't be able to tell if anything's torn or anything like that. So
Okay.
Okay.
FBI though,
We help out our local partners all the time. This is just something that we're here to
Because
do.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, believe it or not, we work at MPD a lot. We come down here, so we're kind of all over the place. But yeah, like
I
Detective
never,
Carpenter
like,
said, we're
y'all for real, the FBI for real.
This says at least, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not trying to be funny, but this is the first time I've ever even seen an FBI agent in real life.
We get that reaction from most of us.
No, because it's like,
Yeah,
am I in
a
a
lot.
movie right now? Y'all sure y'all not punking
don't-
or pranking me or something?
Yeah, you don't need to let that
Yeah.
freak you out or anything. Again, we do work, so we work on a task force with MPD quite a bit, so
I'm
we are
gonna
out with.
put my arm like this just to stretch it out. Just to, I don't want you to think I'm doing nothing crazy.
You good?
Just,
You good?
it leaves some pressure. Something right up in,
No, you're good. Yeah, like she was saying, don't let the, don't let them don't let them make you nervous. Okay. You'll be talking to me mostly and my partner a bit. No, they'll ask you a little too, but just trying to get to the bottom of everything. Look, you were found basically running around in the yard. You said you grabbed dude's phone. That's
No, I didn't grab it.
I don't mean you stole it. You
Oh,
asked
yeah.
for it and you made a call. And that's just kind of what I'm up here to start with and get the background about it. If you're willing to tell me just what you're doing in the yard, because obviously we have the perception we got, like I told you. They said, okay, they had us write this warrant, get some of your blood. But I have one side. So what am I missing? I'm missing Darrell's side, right? I don't know what created all this, why these people are calling us. And I can't really clear that up, or I'd like to clear that up, but the best way to clear it up is if, you're willing to talk to me about it, okay? And that's just kind of what I'm here to sit down and chill with you about. We've been talking to you, about 4 hours now? And we've
Probably
been
longer.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. It's been
Probably
pretty laid
longer.
back, so I'm looking to keep it that way. I'm not looking to pull any fast ones on you. That's why I've been straight with you to that point. I'm going to keep doing that now, right? Darrell, is it Darrell? Do I have the spelling right?
Yes, sir.
And it's E. Edward, like full middle is Edward, right?
Yes, sir.
Brooks, Brooks.
Yes, sir.
And just verify your date of birth for me.
22182.
82. So you're 39?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Married at all?
No.
No?
As little as I am, I'm like, you have to slam me.
Yeah, how many kids you got?
3.
3? How old are they?
18, 14, and 7.
18, 14, and 7. Yeah, what do they like to do?
My baby girls, they into everything that's going on right now. The TikTok, the
They're always on the phone, right?
They always dance and making video. My oldest daughter just started high school,
Yeah.
and my baby girl she just started the 1st grade. So
So they can all
my son is the oldest. My girls are the youngest.
they can like build a computer, but can't normally talk like we know how to, right? So you're born in Milwaukee?
Actually, Detroit.
Detroit.
Yes,
Okay, so
sir.
living in Milwaukee now?
Yes, sir. Grew up here. We left Detroit when I was I don't even think I was walking and talking yet. So,
Okay.
Milwaukee's home, Wisconsin's home, born and raised.
Okay. Not working right now, right?
No, not at the moment.
What do you do when you're working? What do you consider your job?
The last job I just had, I was working at a sheet metal place.
Okay.
Basically just, they would have these, hook things. You just basically, it's strenuous because you got to do a lot of lifting. And it's a lot of heavy lifting, but you basically just hanging these pieces on these hooks and they're going through the thing, they're steaming them, painting them, then they
Okay.
come back around and then you just box them up and load them.
So you're not married?
No.
You have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
You live with her?
No.
What's her name, your girlfriend's name?
Her name is Erica Patterson.
How does she spell it?
Erika.
P-A...
Yeah, Patters.
Okay, and it's 4014 North 19th Street in Milwaukee. Do I have the right address?
Yes, sir.
Is that an apartment or a house?
It's a house.
Okay. What's the zip code there?
53209.
Okay. And last grade you completed in school?
12th.
Grade? Okay. Graduated high school?
Yes, sir.
What school did you go to in Milwaukee?
Riverside.
Riverside?
Yes, sir. Milwaukee Riverside Tigers. I see you smile. You know about Riverside, man?
I heard things.
You kicked y'all butt in football?
Nah, it was West Dallas.
Oh, no.
I don't think we play Riverside.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I appreciate all the cooperation and all the good dialogue we've had, to this point, Darrell. Being that you're sitting here and I had some handcuffs on you before and all that jazz.
Absolutely.
You familiar with your legal rights?
Yes,
Have
I
you ever
have.
had those read to you before?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So as you can see, they're written on this paper. So because, if I was sitting here and talking to you on your couch, we wouldn't have to worry about this. But because you're here and not in your home, it's kind of a thing I got to read to you. Okay. And again, it's just something I got to read to you before I kind of get your side, or hopefully get your side here, and love to hear your side. I'd like to know what Darrell has to say about, okay, we got some people calling us saying this, he said you made hundreds before. No, I wasn't driving. Someone thought you might have been. He had to get that warrant. You ended up calling a guy just to use his phone, kind of loitering around, and just, how you ended up kind of being it. That's what they say.
No. I was gonna say I knocked on his door to use his phone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, but it probably wasn't him that called because he got his phone, but someone was concerned about something. So just trying to figure out what's going on down in that neighborhood. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Darrell.
You kind of, like I said, that wasn't probably the best, but I was just like, I need to get an Uber.
Yeah.
I have money on my Cash App card.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to rob anybody.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not trying to break it and obviously you can tell I'm not drunk. I'm not,
Yep.
under the influence of anything. So
Okay. All right. So
basically what it was.
okay. All right. In regards to these, Darrell, then, do you understand that you have the right to remain silent? Just answer everything with a yes or no.
Yes, sir.
And then I just write down your reply. You understand if you give up that right, anything you say may be used against you in court?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand you have the right to consult with an attorney and have an attorney present during any questioning?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to you by the court?
Yes, sir.
Understanding the above rights, Darrell, are you willing to speak with me, us, primarily me? I'm the one that's going to be doing most of the talking probably.
I just want to know a little bit more about what's going on. Just a little bit because
Like I told you, I know very little. I just know that, you're down in this neighborhood, someone called, they didn't know what you were doing down there and things like that. So I got limited from their side, but I'm looking to see, what you have to say about it. I'm looking to see, maybe the caller was just on some BS down there. I don't know. I don't know. But I can't really show the court that if I don't have, if I haven't talked to you. So that's why I'm here, just to kind of see what you got to say about it. Get your side of it. Running around a neighborhood's not the end of the world. It's not a huge deal.
Right.
You know?
Right. Unfortunately, I wouldn't have had to do that if I made better decisions with women.
Yeah.
But not gonna point the finger.
Sure.
I'm a grown man. I make my own decisions, so I'm not gonna point the finger at nobody. I just didn't think.
Didn't think. Yeah.
What the hell?
You want to speak with me, Darrell?
Not right now.
So, was a decision made to speak with Mr. Brooks the following day?
Being called their name, leading the witness.
The objections are overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Now, when you spoke with the defendant on the 21st, what did you have some general information as to casualties from
Yes.
the parade?
Yes, I did.
What information did you have at that point?
At that point, not all the information was in yet, but I knew, as I stated in previous testimony, our emergency department was very full. I knew there were significant injuries to many people. I knew some were deceased. I did not know the exact number at that time.
You had approximately another couple minutes of conversations with Mr. Brooks before you called it a night. What was the vibe that you got from him during those couple minutes?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name, as leading the witness.
The objection's overruled. You may answer.
I would say friendly. I think when you heard the clip there, Mr. Brooks jokes about Riverside and football. The individual he was talking to at that time was Detective Stern, as you can't obviously see him in the video. I could sense, and I believe you can hear it in Mr. Brooks's voice in that clip. The FBI put him on edge. It was unusual to see them. I could sense the nervousness. He did transition as I talked to him more throughout that clip into a more normal conversational tone again. But when I was speaking with Mr. Brooks casually throughout the night, that was the type of tone he had with us. It was very friendly, and he seemed, when it came to myself and Detective Stern, very comfortable speaking with us.
Now, you had stated your initial intent was to talk to him about loitering in the area that he was arrested. Do you recall that?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I do.
Did Mr. Brooks at all talk to you about the loitering in terms of what the focus of your investigation was that night?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name, leading the witness.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, the statements he made in there, about, being in the area because he needed an Uber. He says more, to us about not knowing the area of Waukesha. He doesn't know the streets, things of that nature, and he just needed an Uber to get home. That was his reasoning for being down there, and he stuck to that reasoning the entire time.
Direct your attention then to the next day. So, strike that. That night, was he transported to a Muskego Police Department?
Yes, he was.
And did you go to Muskego Police Department?
Yes, I did.
Did you transport him?
So it was a dual transport. Officer Leha from the Waukesha Police Department responded to Waukesha Memorial Hospital in a marked squad car that has an appropriate rear backseat transport compartment. Mr. Brooks was placed in that car, and myself and Detective Stern followed in a separate car.
So once you get to City of Muskego Police Department, do you do anything there?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Not the first night. Myself and Detective Stern stood by while some basic medical questions that were part of Muskego Police Department's policy as far as holding a prisoner were asked of him. I was there until Mr. Brooks was placed into his cell. Once Mr. Brooks was in his cell, I explained to him that me personally, would be returning the next day to speak with him more and give him more information about the investigation.
Did Officer Leha end up staying at the Muskego Police Department with the defendant?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled.
Yes, he did.
Why was that?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
That was Muskego's request, being Mr. Brooks was, because of the transition and we did not have our own municipal lockup facility, we requested to use Muskego Police Departments and they allowed it. But being Mr. Brooks was technically in our custody, they requested that one of our officers stay there to do the monitoring and the jail checks.
So did you return to the City of Muskego Police Department the next day, November 22nd, to speak with Mr. Brooks again?
Yes, I
Objection,
did.
I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, I did.
Did you return with anyone?
I returned with Detective Ben Stern.
Now, what was the plan for this interview? You had said the previous day the intent was to kind of start very low, just looking at loitering. Did you have a plan going into the interview on the 22nd?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
I did.
What was that plan?
So the plan was different from the prior day. So The interview with Mr. Brooks on the 22nd didn't start till about a little after noon that afternoon, 12:11 p.m. to be exact. Around 8 a.m. that morning, there was a briefing with all officers that were involved where I learned some additional information. One of the things I learned that morning was that there was a domestic abuse incident that had occurred between Darrell Brooks and Erica Patterson, something I was not aware of when I was with Mr. Brooks during the evening hours of November 21st. There was also much more information at this point in regards to the parade incident. As I had stated in my earlier testimony, it was very, very chaotic that first night. Between radio traffic and what I could hear going on down in the downtown, as I had stated, it was really unlike anything I've ever been involved in. But by Tuesday morning, the 22nd, we had narrowed it down to basically just Mr. Brooks, that there were not 4 people in this car. We were looking at 1 man. So he was now a suspect in the domestic abuse and driving in the parade. So I chose to begin the interview on the less serious matter, that being the battery charge that he was looking at with Erica Patterson.
Now, you said Tuesday the 22nd.
Monday, excuse me.
Okay, thank you. And what do you try to do when you're meeting with someone? Do you try to establish any type of rapport with that person? Is that helpful? How did you approach this interview on the 22nd?
Objection, leading.
Also staying as to the form of the question, it was actually compound, if you could rephrase.
How did you approach the questioning of Mr. Brooks on the 22nd?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name.
Overrule the witness in the answer.
So when I began to speak with Darrell Brooks on the 22nd, I began with some very light conversation. I explained to Mr. Brooks that I had more information from the previous day. I explained to Mr. Brooks that his girlfriend at that time, Erica Patterson, had made some domestic abuse allegations against him that were physical in nature. I didn't indicate to him exactly what she said he did, but that there were physical allegations. I explained to Mr. Brooks that there's always 2 sides to a story, and that, you know, a lot of times in my experience as an officer, it can be about perspective. There's side A, there's side C, so to speak, and maybe B, somewhere in the middle, can be your truth. And I basically just implored him to be honest. I touched on the fact we had talked extensively the night before about things such as him enjoying baseball, him having watched the Packer game, him having been disappointed by the result of the Packer game. And in situations such as interrogations, I think it's always important to let a person know that obviously I'm an officer, but I'm a human being, as are they. And you want to try to not let them see that barrier and feel comfortable talking to you. I think in any interpersonal relationship in society, there needs to be rapport. And I try to establish that before getting into the specific details of the crime at hand.
Now, you said that you had a briefing prior to going back to the City of Muskego Police Department.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have, you said you had more information about the parade incident and also the domestic incident, correct?
Objection, leading.
Overruled, his answer may stand. Next question.
Did you know at that time, prior to speaking with Mr. Brooks, how many people had died during the parade incident?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
And how many people was that at that time?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
At that point, it was 5.
So did you confirm, again, personal information for the defendant before starting the interview?
Yes, I did.
Did you read the Miranda form like you did the night before?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 174. Now, is that the Miranda statement form that you completed on November 22nd with Mr. Brooks?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes, it is.
And what time was that completed?
12:11 p.m.
What exhibit is that?
174.
174?
174. And did you read that form to Mr. Brooks?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
And did you read that form to him in its entirety?
Yes, I did.
I'd ask that Exhibit 174 be moved into evidence.
Objection. Relevancy.
Exhibit 174 is received.
Now, when we look at Exhibit 174, it says spouse's name, it says Erica Patterson. Do you see that?
Objection leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question. You did not ask the published. I did not. I just want to make sure that's what you were not looking to do.
Correct. No.
Okay. Thank you.
There's a spot in this form that says spouse's name. Is that filled in?
Yes.
And what does it say?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
It says Erica Patterson.
Did he say that they were married?
He did not. He said that was his girlfriend, however.
And he indicated he had children?
Objection leading.
It's background foundational. It's the witness may answer. The objection's overruled.
Yes, he did.
How many children did he have?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
3.
And you read each of the 5 rights that are listed on this form?
Yes, I did.
And did he agree to speak with you?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
Okay. I would ask that Exhibit 174 be published to the jury.
Objection. Relevancy.
The exhibit's already been received. Noting your objection, it's overruled. Permission to publish is granted.
Now, as that form is coming up in the jury box, just for the jurors to see, when you initially had contact with the defendant that morning, did you verify if he had been fed?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I did.
And had he been fed dinner the night before, breakfast that morning, lunch that afternoon?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, he had.
And was he complaining about any physical injuries?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, he was continuing to complain about, excuse me, he was continuing to complain about the injury to his right shoulder, which he still at that time was asserting occurred when officers at the time of his arrest body slammed him.
Now, with regard to the second interview, the one that took place on November 22nd, was that recorded?
Yes, it was.
And would it be fair to say that recorded interview was 4 hours, 55 minutes, and 30 seconds?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay. And you've had the opportunity to listen to that interview?
Yes, I have.
I'm going to go through that interview with you. I'm not going to play the whole 5 hours, but just portions of that. I'll stop it during specific clips that I'm providing to Ms. Gussie, and we'll talk about it. Is that all right?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Before you do that, I'm told our interpreter will be here momentarily, and rather than you start, I think it would be best if we just take a short break till the interpreter's here. Is the witness here?
I believe he was coming at 10.
Oh,
We thought
okay,
we'd take
that's
a
fine
break.
then. I appreciate that additional information then. We'll keep going. Sorry for the interruption.
Let me see if maybe he's here early.
Okay.
Okay. He's not here yet.
Okay, then we will keep going and just let me know when the witness gets here.
Okay, you can take this exhibit off the screen. If we can go to 7 minutes and 30 seconds to 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Date. Now, before she starts it, is this the interview room that was at the San Diego Police Department?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And it's paused right now, but who's in that room?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
The person in that room in the red t-shirt with the mask partially covering their face, longer braided appearing hair, is Darrell Edward Brooks. The same individual sitting to my left in this suit, jacket, shorter hair, and surgical mask.
Okay. And the other two people depicted here?
The person, as you would look to the screen to the left, is myself, and on the right is Detective Ben Stern.
So again, going to 7 minutes and 30 seconds. We're going to play it, but not with sound, until 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
Okay. So it now is at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. If we can play until 8 minutes and 20 seconds.
Hang the metal pieces on the little machine thing that comes around. They take them. The pieces go through like this little steamer type machine thing, and then they paint it, and then they come back around, and we just take them off the hook and just put them in the box, load them up, put them back on the truck. It was 4 on, 3 off, so that was more ideal because
That's a great schedule.
I mostly have my children the back half of the week.
Sure.
But since all this, I've been having them every day. So it's like,
How old are your kids?
my son is grown. My oldest daughter is 14, and my youngest daughter is 7.
You said your oldest son's grown. How old is he?
He's 18.
They all live with you then in Milwaukee?
Well, my son doesn't.
Your son doesn't?
My son doesn't. But
Okay. All right.
So initially, what were you speaking with Mr. Brooks about when he was describing doing something with metal?
Objection, leading, and I do not consent to being called that name.
Overruled as to both objections. The witness may answer.
Just about work, he was, Mr. Brooks was explaining a job he had prior. He indicated he was laid off due to the pandemic. So it was just general conversation about his work history.
And he talked about his kids. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And his 2 youngest kids, who did he say they lived with?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. The witness
Objection,
may answer.
relevancy.
Mr. Brooks was indicating they were living with him. However, the investigation showed that not to be the case. Of the 2 daughters, one lives down in Georgia in the Atlanta area, and the other lives in Iowa.
Thank you. Now directing your attention to 14 minutes and 15 seconds into the interview, and I'd be playing that until 15 minutes and 48 seconds into the interview. It is currently at 14 minutes and 15 seconds.
Can I have those timestamps again, please?
Sure. 14 minutes and 15 seconds beginning to 15 minutes and 48 seconds.
Thank you.
I'd ask that be played at this time.
Go ahead.
But not on your college set. I gotta read it, okay? And I know you've heard it before, so you kind of understand.
yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any questions before I start for me?
Only thing I want to know is, what in the heck am I being charged with anything?
Well, she's making some, like I said, alleged allegations against you, kind of, for being physical. So that's what, if that's BS, that's what I'm looking to hear from you. Okay?
Total BS.
You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of, we couldn't track her down, so that's kind of where we're at. It's this typical back and forth stuff that guys like you go through with their baby mama all the time. And they're all, there's a lot of guys out there in your spot, and a lot of times, maybe it's not always fair to them, but that's kind of what
I
I'm
wish
trying
they
to
had a
figure out.
law to where people can, if you do that shit, you should get in trouble.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, why? You shouldn't be able to just be like, oh, I'm pissed off, so I'm going to
Yeah.
call and do this.
Yep. I agree.
Like, why would you put me in that situation and then we're going to end up being together anyway? Why would you do that?
Trying to
That's-
judge that credibility.
Yeah, and that's total BS. So that's what that's why we're sitting in here with you to try to sift through the BS, if that's what we got, and go from there.
Crazy, man.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Fucking girl, man. I said this last night too, didn't I? She get drunk and remember I kept saying that she fucking acts a fool and I'm the one that pays for it.
Yep.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about this clip?
Overruled.
So in this clip here, I'm just explaining to Mr. Brooks the background of the domestic abuse allegations that officers had received from Erica Patterson, and that I was looking to get basically clarity on that, his side of the story on that, have him help me understand what aspects of it may or may not be true, and just walk me through what had occurred between the two of them.
Again, although we're approximately 15 minutes into the interview, have you mentioned anything about the parade incident or any victims?
Objection. Lee.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
I had not said anything about that at this point.
And why was that?
So what I wanted to do with this interview, as I stated in my earlier testimony, I wanted to start with the smaller things and get to the bigger things. The parade incident with the injuries of the individuals and the loss of life was obviously very serious. Part of what I believe as an investigator is very important is gauging credibility into the interview. And one of the ways you do that is you need to be careful. Obviously, at some point, if I'm going to take Mr. Brooks to jail, I have to tell him what he's being charged with. But I want to be very careful in giving too much information early on, so that I'm not leading him, so that I'm not giving him the opportunity based on information to create lies. I want to see how he reacts to things to help me gauge whether he's being truthful. And I found starting with the smaller aspect and seeing how truthful he was with that could help lead me into the more serious allegations and see if he was going to be truthful about those things as well.
Now, as I watched the snippet of the video that we showed, at one point you had indicated, guys like you get into these kind of situations with girls like that, or something to that effect. Do you recall that interaction in this video?
Yes, I do.
What do you mean by that? Or what were you trying to establish by making that statement?
Again, as I had stated in my earlier testimony, part of what I believe is important is simply building a rapport with an individual. Again, you always have with any individual in any interrogation, there's the natural barrier that can occur with them seeing you as a law enforcement officer. I've been doing this job for 18 years. That was not intended on any way on my part to suggest to Mr. Brooks that everything his girlfriend was saying was a lie. I just wanted him to feel comfortable telling me the truth, whatever that truth was, man to man or person to person, human being to human being.
Lying.
Directing your attention to 30 minutes and 26 seconds and playing this clip until 40 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's do that now.
Objection. Wasn't it just said we was 15 minutes in the interview? Why is it playing from 30 minutes?
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Again, that's 30-26, you said?
30-26 to 40-30.
To 40-30. Go ahead.
No. What brought you to Waukesha yesterday? How did you get out here?
I was meeting up with a friend to watch the Packer game.
Okay.
That's the only reason why I was out here.
Where did you go to watch the game?
To a friend named Stephanie.
Her house, a bar, or?
A house.
Yeah, I don't mean to make you uncomfortable or anything, but what's the address there? What's street
I
is it
have
on?
no idea about Waukesha. I don't know the street.
What was it near? I know you had to see something near it. So what was it near?
Like a gas station?
Have you been to the house before?
No.
Never before?
No.
What's Stephanie's last name?
I have no idea. I
Sure,
have no idea.
When did you guys set this up?
Maybe a couple of days ago.
Okay.
Like I said, I have a few friends. I have a few friends in Milwaukee that have people out here, so
Okay.
It's not, I don't, like I said last night, I don't know the streets in Waukesha. It's not where I usually hang out at, so I couldn't say, well, this street, and this, you know, I couldn't.
All right.
Stephanie, like a friend of yours or like a friend of a friend?
A friend of a friend, mutual friend.
And what did you
She
say
was
her
just
last
like,
name was?
I have no idea.
How long have you known her?
That was my first time meeting her. So,
So how did you get the number to know the house to go to?
a friend.
So how did you get to her house?
My friend. I went with my friend.
Okay, who's that?
My friend, I don't really want to say his name. I don't know if that's going to incriminate him in anything. So,
Okay, so let's go with this. How did you come? I know you saw Erica yesterday in Waukesha because we talked to her. Now I don't know everything that went on, and I'm not saying I believe everything she told the other officers. How did you come to meet with her in Waukesha? One, and two. You say you don't know Waukesha, but where did you meet her? A gas station, a park? I know you met her. Where did you meet her? What happened yesterday?
Yeah,
So, because if this is BS, like you say, and I know you met her, what happened?
I
So
met
what
her
happened when you met her? Where did you meet her? Let's start with that.
by a gas station.
Okay.
I don't know what I was supposed to be getting some money from her.
How did? Okay. For what?
It was the rest of my money that she had of mine that she was holding for me.
Okay. How much?
It was supposed to be $350.
Okay. And what did she? Why did she have it? Why was she holding it?
She had been holding it for me for a few weeks now, but like I said, I hadn't seen her. She had seen
Right.
my
But
mom
what was she
already-
holding? Why did she have it? Why was she holding it for you?
She was just holding it for me because I told her to hold it for me. But it didn't have anything to do with, this was weeks ago. She had been holding the money. And because I had no contact with her, I couldn't tell her. And my mom wasn't going to let her come to the house to bring it.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, look, man, if I'm going to be out there, I'll meet up with you and get the money, but I'm not hanging out with you. I'm not having sex with you. And she was just like, oh, you want to kill? I'm like, I'm not finna do none of that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not supposed to be around you. I get that. I understand that. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I'm not supposed to be around you. I love you to death, man. You're my baby mama. I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't supposed to be like a hangout thing. I told her, I'm like, I'm out here. And she's like, oh, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? And I'm like, look, I'll meet up with you to get the money and, you know, give you a hug or whatever. But she was like, well, yeah, I need something. I'm like, no, we can't do all that. I'm not going to have sex with you. I'm not going to hang out with you or none of that.
All right. So you told her you weren't going to do any of that stuff.
No.
How did you set the meeting up? Did you talk to her on the phone, Facebook Messenger, text message?
I talked to her.
I don't think she said anything about that. So just, I mean, if she's BS, how did you
Yeah, because
create a meeting with her?
This is what she does. If
Well,
she
hold on
can't-
one second. Hold on, one thing at a time. How did you set the meeting with her? How do I verify?
That's what I'm saying. If she can't get in touch with me, that's what she'll do. She'll go to social medias and do all this and try to talk to people and all this and that. I got in contact with her through a mutual friend that we both know. And I was like, okay, tell her I'm out in Waukesha or whatever, and I'll meet up with her to get the money. And then she put us on the call. And she was just like, where you at?
Three-way call?
Yeah. And she was just like, where you at? I'm like, look, I don't know where I'm at. Do you still got that money? She's like, yeah, I want to give you the money, and I want to do this and do that. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna hang out with you. I'm gonna meet up with you, get the money, give you a hug and kiss. We'll talk later.
Was it still daylight?
It was still daylight. It was still daylight.
So
after the fact.
This was, I think the game was still on.
Yeah, it was on. So
The game was still on.
left Stephanie's to go.
Yep. The game was still on. So I was like, fuck it. You know what I mean? I want to see you. I ain't seen you in like a month. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to lie and say, man, that's my baby mama. I love this woman. But I can't hang out with you. I can't do anything with you, you know, that type of thing, deal, and whatever the case may be. But Yeah, that.
And this is on your cell phone? The three-way call, obviously, is your cell phone because you're not
No,
on the phone, right?
my friend's phone.
Friend's phone.
Yeah.
But yesterday, so do you have your phone?
No. That's what I'm saying. No.
So who is the friend whose phone you were using to talk to her on a three-way call?
I don't want to say his name because I don't want to.
Okay, I guess, so you saw her though, right? You met up with her? Okay. So, how did the conversation with her end?
With me walking off and her being pissed off that I didn't want to hang out with her. I said, look, I'm not supposed to be around you, I'm gone.
Okay.
When she
Whose
said,
car
oh,
did you use to get out
she
here?
said, I didn't have a car.
So whose car did you use to get to Waukesha?
My friend is the one that said he was gonna go hang out and watch the Packer game. I said, I'm gonna go with.
Okay. Whose car did you use to get out to Waukesha?
I didn't use anybody's car.
Where does your friend live?
My friend lives in Milwaukee.
So you didn't walk to Waukesha. Whose car
No.
did you guys use? to
My
get
friend,
out?
I just said my
What
friend.
type of car do you have?
I
I'm just trying to figure out how you got here.
Yeah, I know, but it seemed like you trying to like spin me up or something. Like
I'm just asking how you got here. Whose car did you drive out here?
I didn't drive at all.
Whose car did you come out here in?
My friend.
Okay, right. What kind of car is it? So here's the thing, Darrell.
Okay.
Obviously, you know, she's coming at us. I told her she's talking about some domestic related issues, okay? You know, and I don't know if she's on BS. I don't know if she's not.
I'm telling
Hold
you.
on, let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. I don't want you to get
Yeah, because
frozen. Hold on, let me finish. You know, I don't entirely know all that, okay? I'm just right now trying to figure out how you get out here. So I got to step out with my partner for a minute. Just relax. I don't want you to get you all nervous, okay? But, you know, I'm not trying to be confrontational, but I don't think when you meet her out in Waukesha, and you're not from Waukesha, I think a reasonable question is to ask, how did you get out here?
Yeah.
Whether you drove, someone else drove, and if so, when you got out here, what type of car you were in. So just, every hour or so, my boss, he knows we're out here. I just got to call him and say, yeah, we're talking. I'll call you back later. Just got to step out, throw in a line with him, and we'll come back. Just chill out here, enjoy your soda. We'll be right back. All right? Sound good? Okay.
So we done talking or?
No,
No.
Just chill out, and we'll be back.
You just gotta make that
back in that. So I just got to make that call.
That check-in call.
All right?
In the middle of the conversation?
Well, do you want to tell me about the car?
We'll just go another couple minutes.
Yeah, but
I mean, I got to call him. I can come back, but I just.
listen, I'm willing to listen, Carpenter. You've been straight up with me. You've been straight up with me, right? All I'm saying is I just want to know what I'm looking at and if I can just notify my girls. That's it. I don't have a problem with talking to you guys at all. I just want to know what am I looking at. That's
Told you
it.
at the start, she called about some domestic abuse related stuff. Now, I didn't talk to her myself. I told you that at the start. You said she was crazy. We talked
Y'all
about
know that.
it.
Y'all talked to the woman.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Oh,
Other
I
officers-
apologize. You talk.
Slow
Other
down.
officers that we listened to the interview.
Slow down, Darrell.
Did she look beat up? Did she look like, dude?
Darrell,
Like,
listen
come
to me.
on now, man.
Slow down, dude. All right? We can't explain it to you if you keep talking over us. You know what I'm saying? All right? I didn't talk to her. I didn't see her. Okay? Now,
Okay, with regard to that clip, sir, we have a lot of talk about her, meeting her. Who is her?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
The her in this case is Erica Patterson.
So did you have some conversations with Mr. Brooks before this clip about his relationship with Ms. Patterson?
Objection leading. I do consent to being called that name.
The objections are overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I did.
Now, at the end of this video, not the end of the video, but the end of this clip, again, he is saying, what am I looking at? Do you recall him saying that in this video?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Yes, I do.
Was this a theme throughout this 5-hour video?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, it was.
Did he, you had stated initially when he came into the room, he had complained about some shoulder pain.
Yes, he did.
Did that continue throughout the interview?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
So I would say what happened is it went on and off. So at this point here, the interview at this point in time was what I would describe as laid back. A lot of it was simply getting background about the overall relationship between Mr. Brooks and Ms. Patterson. During that time, he was fine. He was moving his arms, as you could see in this clip. He wasn't complaining about pain. What I noticed and made me question the legitimacy of the injury before ever actually even seeing the body cam is I noted at times of stress later in this interview as I continue to push on a vehicle. I can see, as you could see here, I believe it can be seen here in this interview, talking about the car made him uncomfortable. Complaints about the pain would suddenly come back.
How about the request to be told what he's looking at? Did you see any correlation between that and what was occurring during the interview?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, that, as I say, that continued throughout the entirety of the interview, and really at this point was a little unusual because right now he had been told he was looking at the domestic. The parade hadn't come up, so a reasonable person, I believe, at this point of the interview knew what they were looking at. They were looking at a domestic abuse incident. Why simply asking him how he got out here as far as transportation made him nervous was alarming.
An example of him, you said that you had seen him using his arms a little bit in this clip, is that correct?
Objection, leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
You had stated that, what observations did you make during this clip about the use of his right arm?
He would move it from side to side, so, I mean, both his arms would come out like this and move. He would make mannerisms when he was speaking with both arms that were, to me, what a person would do when they're normally conversing. And it would seem unusual to make those movements if he was, in fact, in as much pain as he was claiming to us he was in.
I'm going to just let the record reflect that when you had indicated he'd move his arms this way, you moved both your right and left arm out parallel to the ground at about shoulder level. Would that be accurate?
Yes, it would.
Okay. I'm going to show you a clip beginning at 52 minutes and 15 seconds to 52 minutes and 42 seconds, so a very short clip.
Go ahead.
That, and then she makes this complaint, which gets you back.
Yeah, and it's like, why do you do this to me? And I promise you, that my right hand to God Almighty on the throne with Jesus next to his side, the woman is going to sit up there and say, I was drunk, I was mad, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, now I got to go through everything just for you to do that. Why did you do this to me?
She thinks she's gonna come back to us.
So we saw some motions with his arms during this clip. Would that be an accurate statement?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Can you explain to the jury what you observed?
So I observed Mr. Brooks move his arms to his side, above his head, his right arm almost fully above his head at points. Quite frankly, showing that arm seemed to have full range of motion.
Now, you had testified yesterday, you had seen a video or a still shot from a video, and you identified the defendant driving a red SUV. Do you recall that testimony?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, I do.
And when the defendant was telling you about his friend bringing him out in a tan Kia, I think he said, did you believe that to be true?
Objection.
Sustained. It's for the jury to determine credibility.
Did
The witness
you-
will not answer that.
Did you ever see any video of the defendant driving in a tan Kia during the time of the parade?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled. The witness may answer that.
No, I did not.
Directing the video to 1 hour, 4 minutes, 30 seconds, and playing until 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 2 seconds.
Before we go to this clip, I know we have the witness, I've been told, and the interpreter available. So I would like to put further testimony and watching of these clips on hold. We do need to take a witness out of order in order to accommodate the interpreter that the court has arranged for. So, Detective Carpenter, you may be excused momentarily. And then if Mr. Ryan would accompany the witness, this will be Mr. Juan Marquez being called by Mr. Brooks. Yeah, Jen, can we, I'm gonna need that chair up there. Sorry about that. We can get another chair. And Mr. Brooks is calling Juan Marquez, is that true, sir? Mr. Brooks, are you calling Mr. Marquez as a witness at this time?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Marquez, if you would accompany the interpreter all the way to the witness stand. Where's my instruction? When you get there, we're going to have the interpreter sworn first.
Do you swear that you will interpret truly, accurately, completely, and impartially in accordance with the standards prescribed by law, the Code of Ethics for Court Interpreters, and Wisconsin Guidelines for Court Interpreting?
I do. Certified Spanish interpreter Patrick Ryan.
Thank you. And Mr. Marquez, would you please raise your right hand to be sworn by my clerk?
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I have an instruction to read to you. No matter what language people speak, they have the right to have their testimony heard and understood. You are about to hear a witness in which an interpreter will translate for one of the witnesses. The interpreter is required to remain neutral. The interpreter is required to translate between English and Spanish accurately and impartially to the best of the interpreter's skill and judgment. The evidence you are to consider is only that provided through the official court interpreter. Although some of you may know the non-English language used, it is important that all jurors consider the same evidence. Therefore, you must base your decision on the evidence presented in the English translation. You must disregard any different meaning of the non-English words. You must evaluate interpreted testimony as you would any other testimony. That is, you must not give interpreted testimony any greater or lesser weight than you would if the witness had spoken English. Keep in mind that a person might speak some English without speaking it fluently. That person has the right to the services of an interpreter. Therefore, you shall not give greater or lesser weight to a person's translated testimony based on your conclusions, if any, regarding the extent to which that person speaks English. With that, sir, the first thing I will ask you to do is to state and spell your first and last names for the record.
Juan Márquez,
Juan Marquez,
Juan
Juan
Marquez,
Marquez.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir, you may question this witness.
Good morning, Mr. Marquez.
Buenos días, señor Márquez.
You were at the parade on November 21st, 2021, is that correct?
Usted estaba en el desfile del 21 de noviembre de 2022, ¿correcto?
Es correcto.
That is correct.
And do you recall who you were there with that day?
¿Se acuerda con quién estaba ese día?
Con mi esposa y mi hijo.
With my wife and with my son.
And were you marching in the parade that day?
¿Usted estaba caminando en el desfile ese día?
Sí.
Yes.
Do you remember who you were marching with? Was it a
Caminando.
particular group?
Un grupo en particular?
Sí.
Yes.
Do you recall who that group was?
¿Se acuerda quién era el grupo con el cual estaba desfilando?
Sí.
Yes.
And at some point, you felt something hit your leg?
Y en un momento usted sintió que algo le pegó su pierna.
Es correcto.
That's correct.
And do you remember what that was?
¿Se acuerda qué fue?
Un vehículo.
A vehicle.
And did you see the vehicle?
¿Vio el vehículo? ¿Lo vio?
No.
No.
At some point, did you go to Freighter Hospital?
¿En algún momento usted pasó al hospital Freighter?
Sí.
Yes.
And were you interviewed by any law enforcement at that time?
¿Usted fue entrevistado por algún agente policial de la policía?
Sí.
Yes.
Do you recall if it was regular officers or FBI?
¿Se acuerda si fue un oficial regular o fue la gente de FBI?
FBI.
FBI.
Do you recall telling them that the truck was black?
¿Se acuerda que usted
Grounds.
The objection is sustained as to leading. Please rephrase your question.
Do you remember what color you told them the truck was?
¿Se acuerda si usted se acuerda qué color dijo él, qué color la troca fue?
No recuerdo.
I don't remember.
So it would be fair to say you don't recall seeing anything at that time?
¿Se puede decir que usted no se acuerda de nada en ese tiempo?
No.
No.
And did you at any time file a claim related to this incident?
¿En algún momento usted archivó un reclamo con respecto a este incidente?
No recuerdo.
I don't remember.
Do you know if anyone you were with filed a claim related to this incident?
¿Sabe si alguien que la acompañó si ha archivado un reclamo con respecto a este incidente?
No lo sé.
I don't know.
Would you consider yourself an injured party in this incident?
¿Usted se considera una parte herida, lesionada debido a este incidente?
Sí.
Yes.
Any reason why you wouldn't file a claim since you considered yourself an injured party?
Por eso que usted
Grounds.
se considera una persona no herida durante ese incidente. ¿Alguna razón por la cual no archivaría un reclamo?
There's an objection. It's sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
Por favor, diga la pregunta de nuevo.
¿Me puede repetir la pregunta?
There's an objection. You don't need to answer.
No tiene que contestar. Could you repeat the question, please?
Please rephrase, Mr.
Por favor,
Brooks.
diga la pregunta de diferente manera, señor Brooks.
It's kind of hard to rephrase.
Es un poco difícil si la pregunta de diferente manera.
Did you intend on filing a claim related to this case?
Objection.
¿De archivar un reclamo con respecto a este caso?
Hold on, there's been an objection. The grounds.
Sesión.
Your Honor, first of all,
Primero,
this witness testified he doesn't recall filing a claim, so I'm not sure what the relevance then would be of the question.
The question was, did he intend to?
I'll sustain the objection as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
Do you recall at any time filing a police report?
¿Se acuerda en un momento usted de archivar un reporte de policía?
Sí.
Yes.
And was that with local law enforcement?
Eso fue
If you recall.
La agencia de policía local, ¿sí se acuerda?
No recuerdo.
I don't remember.
Did any law enforcement from that report follow up with you at any time?
¿Alguna representante de una agencia policíaca hizo algún tipo de seguimiento con usted en ese tiempo?
Sí.
Yes.
And do you recall what agency that was?
¿Se acuerda qué agencia que contrató?
No.
No.
Do you recall at any time being notified that you could possibly testify in this incident?
¿Usted se acuerda que en un momento que la notificaron que en un momento usted podría testificar sobre ese incidente?
¿Me puede repetir la pregunta?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. Do you recall at any time being notified that it was a possibility that you could testify in this incident?
¿Se acuerda que en un momento podría, si lo notificaron, que habría sido una posibilidad que usted podría testificar con respecto a ese incidente?
No.
No.
Were you ever subpoenaed in relation to this incident?
¿Lo citaron alguna vez a corte con respecto a ese incidente?
Sí.
Yes.
Do you recall who you received this subpoena from?
¿Se acuerda de quién recibió la citatoria de corte?
Del distrito de la oficina del fiscal.
From the office of the district attorney.
And do you recall when that was?
¿Se acuerda cuándo fue?
Un mes y días.
A month and a few days.
And following being subpoenaed, or following, rather, strike that back. After receiving the subpoena, did you follow up with the district attorney's office at any time after?
Después de recibir entonces el citatorio, ¿recibió algún tipo de seguimiento por medio de la oficina fiscal después del incidente?
Sí.
Yes.
Do you recall whom you spoke with?
¿Se acuerda con quién habló?
Susan.
Susan.
Would that be referring to Attorney Opper, who is seated at this table?
¿Se refiere a Susan Opera que está sentado a esa mesa?
Sí.
Yes.
And were you at any time informed of a plaintiff in this incident?
Objection of relevance.
Sustained.
Informó a la oposición.
You don't need to answer that
No
question.
tiene que contestar la pregunta.
Were you at any time notified that there was a plaintiff in this incident?
Objection of
Grounds.
relevance.
The objection is sustained. The witness does not need to answer.
Do you even know if there's a plaintiff in this incident?
Objection of
Grounds.
relevance.
The objection is sustained. The witness does not need to answer.
No tiene que contestar la pregunta.
Do you recall ever seeing, excuse me, do you ever recall, sorry. Do you recall ever seeing or reading a complaint in this matter?
Entonces, ¿cuál es usted vio, si leyó una acusación criminal en este asunto?
No.
No.
Going back to the actual incident, would it be fair to say that at the time you were very confused?
Volviendo entonces al incidente, ¿se puede decir que en ese tiempo usted estaba bastante confundido?
¿Me puede repetir la pregunta?
Could you repeat the question?
Going back to the time of the incident at the parade, would it be fair to say that you were confused at the time?
Volviendo entonces al momento del desfile, ¿se puede decir que usted estaba confundido en ese tiempo?
No.
No.
Any reason why you don't recall seeing anything?
¿Hay alguna razón por la cual usted no se acuerda de ver algo?
¿Me puede repetir la pregunta?
Could you repeat the question?
Any reason why you don't recall seeing anything?
¿Alguna razón por la cual usted no se acuerda de ver nada en ese tiempo?
No vi el vehículo.
I did not see the vehicle.
Solo pasó.
It just passed by. Sorry, the interpreter needs to make a clarification on his last response, if I can inquire. Cuando te dice que pasó el vehículo, ¿quiere decir que ocurrió el incidente o que el vehículo pasó por usted? Cuando usted dice pasó el vehículo o que pasó como ocurrió?
Ocurrió, me pegó y pasó
Yeah,
rápido.
for clarification, the interpreter inquired if he meant the vehicle passed by or if the incident happened. The defendant, interpreter, for clarification, the interpreter would like to say that he meant that it just happened, that the vehicle just hit him, rather than, I believe the interpreter translated what he said as it passed by. What he meant to say is that it actually happened, rather than passed by. So for that point of clarification, for the record.
Thank you.
Also, for clarification, just so we're clear for the record, you don't recall actually seeing the vehicle.
También, sí, vamos a estar clarificando por el acta. No se acuerda que vio el vehículo.
No.
No.
No further questions.
No va a preguntarse.
Any questions, Attorney Basie?
Briefly.
Brevemente.
Good morning, Mr. Marquez.
Buenos días, señor. Good morning.
On November 21st of last year, were you walking with the Catholic communities of Waukesha?
El 21 de noviembre del año pasado, desfilando con Catholic Communities of Waukesha.
Es correcto.
That's correct.
Hold on, what was the objection?
¿Qué fue la posición?
I mean, you already
You have to
mentioned.
speak up, I couldn't hear what you
I
said.
have a code, so I can't.
Mr. Brooks, was there an objection so I can move on?
Yes, there was
On
an
what
objection.
grounds?
En que
I can't even remember now.
ni me recuerdo ahora.
Well, if you were objecting on relevance, it's relevant, his answer may stand.
It wasn't relevant, so I'll tell you that.
Mr. Marquez,
Señor Marquez.
if you hear the word objection,
Objection, no.
please
Por
wait
favor, espere.
until I rule
hasta
on the
que yo abra
objection
Mi decisión o posición.
before you answer.
Antes que conteste.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Go ahead.
Adelante.